Cal- All right, well.
Can you
try
just
again.
give us a thumbs up if you can hear us?
Oh, that's good. What about, if you tried speaking, John, can we hear you?
Yep, I think so. Maybe. Hello?
No, we no sound for you. Are you speaking?
I am speaking.
Animated.
Oh, there we go.
Tell us just-
Okay.
It's telling me that I'm speaking. Is that working now?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we got you now. Great. Thanks, and Angela?
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Great.
Great. Thanks. There's Tyler is off to my left here. So we have a full room and a small room. Interesting layout, but it's gonna be quieter here for us. So this will be good. We'll get our space figured out, our home landed. I guess we'll start. So thank you everybody for making the February 27th, 2024 APHC meeting. We've got folks online and folks in the room.
So can we do an
Do
introduction?
you want to do?
Yeah,
introductions
just so
on
I
the room?
put everyone's name and then
Great.
I can know who's online as well.
Okay, great. So we'll start in the room and then we'll go online. Tyler, do you want to?
Tyler Gale, I'm one of the APHC, what do you call me?
Commissioner?
Trustee commissioner.
Yeah.
Trustee. Something.
And I'm Wade Brunham, I'm the chair.
Randy Meyer, another commissioner. Lon Bain, commissioner. Adam Yosef, commissioner.
Roger Tierney, Area B Director.
Gary Bauer.
Commissioner.
Daryl Bjarnason, Commissioner.
Can I have you introduce yourselves? Those of you that are online.
Sure, I'm Angela French. I'm with the Creston Community Forest.
And I'm John Del Caro, one of the commissioners.
Okay, thank you.
And then it looks like there's two other screens. Sadie's there.
Oh, hi, Sadie. It's okay, I figured it out. Thank you.
Okay, you don't need me for minutes or anything.
I'll
You're
be
all good.
Yeah, thanks. I had a momentary worry about letting people in from the lobby, but it's all good.
Oh, no.
Okay, thanks, Sadie.
Okay, take care, guys. Have a good meeting.
Thanks. And then there's a DR there as well. That's
If someone is there with the initials DR, can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
all right. Great. To start things off, just like to acknowledge that we're holding this meeting on the unceded traditional territory of the Ktunaxa Nation and the Yakinuki people. We have an agenda for the meeting. It's gone out to the commissioners. Hopefully you've all had a chance to review it and just wondering if there's any discussion, additions, or subtractions. We have paper copies here if you'd like to have a look at because it's a copy.
Do you want one, Roger?
I was wondering if there was time. The last meeting, we just discussed.
We had for our last meeting, we had APHC, the integration, but it wasn't really an integration, it was just connecting for the strategic imperatives. Yeah, we can touch on those maybe in the second hour.
Yeah,
Just
I
okay.
thought it sounded like there wasn't a big turnout last time either, more of us absentees are here this time, maybe we can find out
Sure.
the basic idea what was said.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that in our,
Not, no worries.
yeah. Sounds good. Any other requests?
I should qualify. I've got to probably eject from here for appointment elsewhere at 8:30.
At
But I think
8:30.
the first half will be report.
Okay, good. All decisions made by 8:30. That was a test. We don't make decisions, guys. We make recommendations. Come on.
We make statements of support, actually, not even really recommendations.
Touch on strategic. Okay, no additions to the agenda. Can somebody make a motion to adopt the agenda then, please?
Motion to adopt the agenda
I'll
as
second.
provided.
And the second. And all four. The receipt of the minutes. So the minutes were also part of the package. Thank you, Adam, for your help on reviewing the minutes, getting comments back. Any comments or questions from anybody on the minutes that were not captured previously? Hearing nothing. Do we need a resolution on the minutes? I'm never.
No, I think it's just.
We're good, okay. Awesome, next, staff reports the Crown Land referral. So included in our agenda package, there was a Crown Land referral package from Sadie. And I think we've got the community forest. Hi, Angela. Thanks for being here to present to us, kind of take us through the package and then answer any questions that we might have, and there will be a bit of a discussion. So maybe Angela, if I can just turn it over to you and you can kind of give us the gist of the application and your role with community forest and sort of what your hopes and desires are there, and then we'll ask away.
Sure, yeah. Thanks for the opportunity to be a part of the committee. Let me know if I cut out. I'll turn off my video if the internet is not doing well. But yeah, so I am with the Creston Community Forest and the Planning and Development Supervisor. Just started here in August. And a part of that role is to essentially develop and plan areas, including on Goat Mountain. And this is a part of this project, which has been happening since 2019. The Creston Community Forest has been developing a landscape level wildfire risk reduction fuel break near Creston. And so that's essentially a part of the mandate of the community forest and a part of the community wildfire protection plans of the town of Creston. So this is essentially an extension of that. There's 6 blocks included in this project phase and 1 new road being built off of Goat Mountain FSR. Yeah, so essentially, I think there was a question around how does this relate to the community forest proposed mountain bike trails. I didn't know if there was anything specific outside of the email that I had sent, but as a few of you know, Adam and Jerry are for sure have been a part of that in the past, and we are at the stage with the bike project to essentially we're waiting on funding through the REDIP grant that we applied for phase 1, and we're working really closely with Cabin Resources to ensure that any spatial and any kind of field work that's been done can be worked with this permit. And in overlaying any of the spatial, there's actually very little direct impact. So yeah, open to questions or anything else that I can help with.
Great, thanks, Angela. So maybe we'll open it up to the commissioners for any questions for Angela based on the materials presented.
Just clarification, the maps that we have are RDCK maps. We didn't get the cut permit map, this group.
I don't believe so.
That's
All
the
I
map-
thought
that's
was,
the map we need.
yeah,
These maps are okay, but they don't tell us so much.
yeah, that's
This-
all my questions are
This
about
is
the
the
map,
map that you want.
right?
We did get.
Sorry, you're cutting out there.
Oh,
Okay, Angela, that's a question for our group. They did not get the actual cut the commissioners don't have the actual cutting permit map, which it has all the detail. So the maps that they have are RDCK maps and they're pretty generic. You really,
Okay.
that's our problem, not your problem.
Okay. Yeah. I guess as a part of the referral process, we send that to the RDCK planning department, and then I guess Director Tierney was interested in it further. But I mean, if this is something that this group would like to have direct referrals to, I can make that happen, no problem. And then you could have the maps that we send out to RDCK as well. Would you like that to happen?
I think it's probably best if it just goes through RDCK. That's really the channel that should go. But I think it'd be interesting to find out from RDCK staff if that map was included in their original package, and maybe
Well,
comment on.
I'm sure it was.
Did you receive that one, Roger?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what you received in here is just, it's the standard referral package that we send out with the RDCK maps. So, yeah, but if
But it-
Roger, did you request it separately, Roger? Or did you receive it as part of the referral package?
No, the RDCK received the mapping on the cut blocks. They probably should have been.
Yeah, and I wonder if this is probably a spatial file that was imported to the web map,
Yeah.
so it's just not great.
Yeah.
Because it was just the KML or whatever.
It gives the
spatial-
general,
Yeah, so it's just. Yeah.
But what we have in this package is not what's being cut.
Well, those red blocks are what's being cut,
Yeah,
but you just don't have the detail.
yeah,
Like, for example, the map that Angela prepared has like the Lady Slipper Trail map, which is an important feature for us to
Absolutely.
consider.
yeah,
It doesn't even have the Goat Mountain Forestry Road on it,
no,
and it doesn't have the previous mitigation that they've done, which ties it all together.
right,
So we really cannot make comments about that.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure that the RDCK did receive what you're talking about, Jerry.
Well, because typically we just receive that spatial file
Yeah.
that is put into the GIS system, and then it loads in the map. So this is probably, I mean, I guess if you zoomed in when you're on the web map,
Yeah,
then you have a better idea. It's just for printing purposes. It's hard to print it. So it's really, yeah, all of this red is not something you would see on the web map. It's the file that came with the referral from.
what it,
So what happened in this case, I sent the referral to the planning department, which included the PDF map that Jerry's talking about. And then Sadie then asked for the spatial on top of that. So that's, I guess, what you're seeing. I'm not quite sure, but the map that has all the detail was sent to RDCK planning and the area directors as well.
Okay, thank you.
I just emailed the cutting permit map to everyone
Okay,
right now. Yeah.
thank you, Adam.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually just come around to us now, technology, lovely. But maybe just then if these maps that were in this package were prepared by RDCK, just a comment then back to RDCK staff. The legend where it says style 10 and false color 0 are not sufficiently appropriate names for features. There's also, I think, the Lady Slipper Trail should have shown up on the important features map. There is a,
But again, if you had this map,
it would have shown up.
it's on there.
Yeah, I just think there's a number of
Yeah.
important features that weren't on
Like the forestry road.
the forestry road,
There you go.
exactly, yeah.
Angela, if I may, just a couple comments on your letter. You said access is by the Goat Mountain Forestry Road, but it's also by Ocel, right?
No, not for this permit.
Those block 6 are not from Ocel?
No, that's right on Goat Mountain FSR.
Okay. And the other thing that may be missing, there are water source areas in the Ocel area that maybe could have been on the map. I don't think they were. Springs?
No, we're not in that area, in like the very north east corner of the the Goat
Okay.
Mountain FDU in the community forest were not in there at all. So we didn't
Okay.
include them on the map because they're not impacted.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, you're right, my mistake,
No worries.
I see it now.
Sorry, Lon's got a question, but just before that, I just noticed that Brock, Lilico has joined online. Hi, Brock, can you hear everything okay? And Brock's muted, but
It's open.
it's open to the public. Yeah. So it could be a member of the public, but Brock is there showing up. I'm assuming that's Commissioner Brock Lilico. No last name, muted.
Okay.
So I'll just put that on the,
Okay, that's good.
and sorry, Lon, over to you.
Angela,
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you now, Brock, sorry.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I've been trying here for about half an hour to get on here.
Okay, well, you're here now. You're in the thick of it.
Right on.
Okay,
So where are we at with the meeting?
So we're working through our first referral package, which is from the Creston Valley Community Forest Corporation. We've just had a couple of the beginnings of discussions on that, and Lon was about to ask a question. So I'm gonna turn it over to Lon and he can continue with his questions.
Hi, Angela. On your water systems map,
Not her map,
RDCK owned, we produced that?
that's her map.
Oh, these are our maps, okay? And,
I think that's good direction back to RDCK
Okay.
staff on the maps and what's included or not.
okay. Can someone describe the irrigation water systems that are on that map that are on the backside of Paramount?
Sorry, I don't have the map that you're looking at in front of you.
Sorry,
But are you is there points of diversions? Is that what you're talking about?
okay, yeah, that may be, yes.
The PD number.
Yeah, so those are all points of diversion. So those are licensed water intakes that are within the consumptive watershed. And so each one of those could have multiple different water users for domestic water use on there. So we refer to all the water users about this permit as well.
Yeah, it took a while to get through.
Thank you.
Wait, if I may?
Yeah.
Angela, maybe for the commissioners that may not be familiar with this type of logging, is it safe to say if you look from Erickson Road, you can see the work that the community forest has done for the last year up on Goat Mountain? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, you can see a thinning of the canopy, I would say.
Right. So is it safe to
Yeah.
say that the work you're proposing will look similar to that?
Yeah, that's correct. So as you know, to share what it'll look like is essentially the goal in reducing the wildfire risk is to space out the crowns of the mature trees so that if a crown fire does happen on the mountain near the community, they'll be reducing the amount of crowns will reduce the continuous fuel that the fire can travel through. So essentially that reduces the intensity and severity of an incoming crown fire near the community. What that looks like is a more spaced forest, and that's still retaining about 40 to 50% of the existing stand. So it's a partial cut silviculture system is what it's called.
So again, for the benefit of the commissioners, before the snow goes, it stands out better. Right in the summertime, you hardly notice it. But if you're driving on Erickson Road, you can see the partial cutting, and this will be similar. So I think it gives you a good idea of what the impact will be. And I've been up there. Their logging is very good compared to conventional commercial type logging. They do a really good job. So I don't think we should be too concerned, in my opinion.
It's basically a trade for a long-term visual impact of the thinned crown, especially in winter, for the potential impact of a wildfire.
Absolutely.
Likely from that elevation up, because this is pretty high up on Goat Mountain. I don't think it would necessarily have too much safety factor as far as occupied area, would that be correct? Given that fire would go typically uphill?
Well, typically, but the last few summers, we've seen some pretty severe wildfire movement that does things it's not supposed to do, going downhill.
Yeah.
Also, it's easy for fires to move downhill if you have
Yeah.
rolling
It's
logs or whatever. And it's quite steep down the residential area. below
far
them.
dangerous, different than kettle now.
Yeah, you're probably 2/3 the way up.
You're above goat, you're mostly above the goat.
Yeah, so it would, I think one of the big things for us to consider would be the visual impact for Creston, really, right? I mean, as
Yeah.
far as forest impact, it's gonna be what it'll be.
Well, but long term, you want a healthy forest.
Yeah.
You want, yeah, so that's what they're trying to do. Most of the trees you're removing, I believe, are diseased or danger trees. So that will create a healthier forest longer term.
Well,
And regen's good, the regen will come back.
I doubt most of the trees are diseased and,
Well,
I mean, they got
That's what-
marketable timber. and-
that's what they said, I believe it.
I know, my comments would be, you'd be able to see those blocks really easily if you're coming east on Highway 3 across Queenie River Bridge. That's about the only place you'd probably be able to see them. I know people in Canyon and Lister can see that cut
Yeah.
block up here really well. And some people are like, what are they doing? They're logging Goat Mountain. But if you look at the forest in CP 35, like there is mistletoe just riddled that west face of the mountain. It's a really unhealthy forest. And my personal opinion, being in forestry, is that people have to understand that even if you can't see cut blocks like right from town, everywhere else is cut blocks.
Sorry, I just lost sound. Can anyone hear me?
Are we coddling our citizens to believe that there's no logging up there? Like,
Yes.
there is logging. Yeah,
We
we are
I
coddling.
need to be coddled in that.
Yes. We have to be careful about logging in watersheds, yeah. I mean, the water license people holders underneath those blocks might be concerned, but do we have to protect people from knowing logging's going on? Like,
I think it's more tourism impact.
Yeah.
With
but
the
even
focus on
that, like, we're a forest resource town, like, are we ashamed of logging?
I'm
Not if the practices are good.
I'm talking for the purpose of consideration within this meeting. That's all.
But
I
they're
don't have any issues with logging.
And I'm not saying anything about you, I'm talking about my friends in Lister who can see that and think it's a concern, well.
Yeah,
What I would comment on that, of course, I can see it from Lister up there. And that's a whole lot less of an issue compared to what was done on that. Up in
Wendell,
Where that is.
Yeah.
cleaned right out.
private land logging,
Totally,
yeah.
totally different
Yeah,
situation.
good comparison, you know, but that's very bad of what they did.
Yeah, that's kind of like the
Yeah.
extremes there, right?
Yeah, two extremes.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to draw a takeaway for us. Like, is it being discussed here for reasons of protecting infrastructure? Or is it visual? Like what is our issue to comment on or to think about?
I think it's because RDCK is a shareholder of the community forest, one of 5 shareholders, so they're probably wanting to get it from, feedback from.
Oh,
everybody.
okay.
Yes, Roger?
I was particularly interested to hear everyone's comments in regards to Goat Mountain is, in my view, an extremely important recreational area to the town.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's a proposal in to develop multiple trails. I was curious whether the planning for the logging took that into account and whether it was primarily supporting that trail development. As far as the planning and the outcomes.
Supporting it financially, you mean?
No, supporting it physically in its layout on the land,
Not harming the mountain bike trail plan.
just taking it into consideration.
Yeah, definitely. Recreation is one of the 3 pillars of the Creston Community Forest, and having those trails within the community forest tenure is definitely one of the values that we manage for. I think in balancing many of the values, there is some competing priority decision making that does need to happen as a forest management company. However, as you can see, or maybe you can't see, but once you get the map, the Lady Sleeper Trail is not impacted. However, it could be visually obvious that there are some new cut blocks when someone's using the trail. Keeping that in mind, the objective of this project is to reduce wildfire risks near the community. And I think in hearing your discussions about, people thinking that seeing this logging as a negative thing, from my perspective, and something that I'm really trying to encourage in conversation with public, is that I think this is an exciting and positive thing to see near your community, that a community forest, a contractor that is logging in a way that takes all the values into consideration is a really good thing. This fuel load is being reduced against Creston, and that doesn't happen in every town. So balancing those objectives is a really important thing as a forest management company, and we do take all those values into consideration. With the mountain bike project, it's in really early stages, and that's a really good thing to be able to build that plan into where these blocks are. And with the wildfire risk, there's also forest health happening where lots of trees are dying and unhealthy, and those are the priority logs to harvest at this point. So
What's the potential wind impact to the remaining stand if we take 60% with 40% retention? Oftentimes you'll see like the periphery of a cut block or strips in between. You end up with a lot of wind damage. And we've noticed too on some of the previous thinning, the property up against that sees a higher wind load. I think Canyon Park experienced perhaps some of that. I'm just speculating saying that, but would wind be a factor to consider in how much is taken?
yeah, wind firmness is a factor that's included in all the forest management analysis, and that comes down to what type of soil is there, what type of species you retain based on how shallow or deep their root systems go. So that is a part of it, and then retaining 40 to 50% of a stand obviously helps with reducing that effect on the remaining stand, because there are so many stems still standing.
Angela, do you know what percentage of the stand is diseased currently? And what percentage is good, healthy logs?
Yes, so
Oh,
sorry, you cut out there a bit, but yeah, we did do, I've done a forest health survey across Go Mountain and these blocks, and we also did an aerial survey earlier last fall, and it varies within each block, and it varies based on the species that are there, obviously, but I'd say it's it ranges between 10% in a block of infected trees to about 60% of the remaining stand, which is the case in block 6 there, where there's a lot of forest Douglas fir beetle hitting essentially every standing Douglas fir tree that's there.
so some blocks could be 10 or 20% of the harvest might be diseased trees, and 3/4 might be good trees, healthy trees.
That's correct. Yeah. So it's building in that wildfire risk reduction, spacing out the canopies is the objective.
A couple other comments. One is that I happen to know that the proposed mountain bike trail route goes through a lot of regenerated cut blocks. So a number of those are 20 or 30-year-old cut blocks, and the trail goes through it. So it's not like it's going to be a clear cut forever. At some point, those harvested areas do return to being visually appealing for recreation. And my other comment is, you've got a local contractor doing all the logging. I know that's part of the community forest objectives, local employment. Are you also planning to hire local contractors for the mountain bike construction?
I don't think we've crossed that bridge yet. We're still just looking to get the funding for building it out, but we'll let you know when we get there.
Thanks.
Would this be a stage of several? I mean, let's say in 25 years, would the goal be to have the majority portion of goat spaced?
Yeah, so this has been, I guess we're into the 5th year of building out this landscape level field break. So essentially, 2 kilometers is the wildland urban interface, and that's where we're to focus that objective on. In this Goat Mountain area, I've identified maybe one more kind of clump of blocks that could be looked at in the future, but at this point, we'll likely focus on other areas in the wildland urban interface.
The map that Adam circulated shows all the gray that's already been thinned, and it's like, with these, it'd probably be like half the mountain, half the part of the mountain that's not otherwise spoken for property or a woodlot. That woodlot's private, right? It's not part of the.
Well, it's crown land, but it's not community forest.
Yeah, that's, yeah. Definitely.
I'm just downloading that now. Is it that lower elevation? I'm just thinking for the purpose of fire, if this is with the purpose of fire mitigation, it seems the elevation is pretty high.
To some extent, it's just working with where you can, though. That's not private property, right?
Yeah.
Would that be a fair statement? Yeah.
Yeah, we essentially we can only work within the community forest tenure.
Yeah.
We are working with the town of Creston as well to try to thin out some of their areas for wildfire risk reduction. But yeah, within, like, from the provincial strategic threat analysis, it's that 2 kilometers from essentially 6 structures is a dwelling, and that's where we work off of. So that's like the highest risk areas, and pretty much all of Goat Mountain is that 2 kilometer zone.
But you are correct, there's a woodlot between Erickson and the community forest. That's lower down the mountain. It might be a higher risk to Erickson. But that's a woodlot, they'd have to do their own thing.
Yeah.
Question for you, if I can, maybe just to bring it back to Roger's question around the recreational considerations, and certainly that being one of the pillars that you have. Is in the development of these cut blocks or this logging activity, is there going to be sufficient signage, safety considerations to allow existing recreational users to have access to those areas, or will this be shut down for periods of time? How does that sort of, we're logging now, can you still or not use the area rollout? What does that look like?
Yeah, essentially because we're not going across any trails, we ask users of Goat Mountain to be cautious of logging, and then the contractor will have signage where they are operating to essentially contact the operator via radio or not enter the worksite whatsoever. And we post that on our Facebook and LinkedIn and website.
Is that just thinking maybe not all community users would have access to the internet side? So just wondering if it'll be posted on site as well, so that somebody who happened up the hill would be able to maintain their safety?
Yeah, so there's a sign at the beginning of the FSR saying work in progress, and then as someone comes into the actual area that the operators are working in, there's signage there. We could add another sign maybe at the beginning of the Lady Slipper Trail itself. We can look at doing that for sure.
Do these blocks form part of the CVFC's current annual allowable cut, or is fire purposes an addition to that?
This is within the AAC. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a chosen method to harvest to kind of get your harvest, but also fuel mitigation while you're doing it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And disease control.
Yeah.
Brock or John, any questions from you? Sorry, kind of left you out of the conversation so far, but any questions?
I'm just coming in late, understand to be a local logging outfit. Who's doing the logging?
Rick Paulson.
Yeah, I don't know him, and I heard something about a block 6, and on this map I've got, I only see 5 red.
There's a 6 that's downslope to the north. It's just a little one.
Well, there are 3 together.
Yeah, it's 3 little polygons together, yeah, that they're all labeled as 6.
Okay, and obviously the loggers would know that this is a recreational area, so they'd be watching out for recreational people.
Yes, yeah, that's a part of our pre-work and safety plans.
When is logging going to take place?
So logging starts tomorrow, actually.
Oh. Good thing we got this meeting out of the way then.
Yeah. So I might just say for the record that I've used that Lady Slipper Trail a number of times, and it's pretty, I think it's fair to characterize it as high value recreation trail. There's some pretty cool old trees on it despite the unhealthy forest remarks. That it looks like will still stick around. It makes you a little nervous to see logging right next to it, but yeah.
There is a buffer.
Yeah.
I don't know. How wide is the buffer?
So the closest one where block 4 gets, I think it's the closest one is, what is it? It's about 30 meters for about 50 meters stretch of the trail. And then after that, it gets further and further. And keep in mind, it's not a clear cut, so it won't be a vast open moonscape that people look at. Yeah.
Angela, I'm assuming that the areas have been scoped for lady slipper orchids before you start. Is Jim Smith still on the board?
No, he's not.
Okay. It was largely through Jim Smith's efforts why the Lady Slipper Trail is named Lady Slipper Trail. Jim went out of his way to protect the flowers on the mountainside.
Surely they're like annuals or something though.
Not a well. I heard ask Jim the story about he had unleashed a logger on it and he raced up the mountain fearful that he hadn't given explicit directions to save those particular flowers. I'm sure the community forest is well aware of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can follow up for sure.
Is anybody aware, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard the Goat Mountain burned around the turn of the century, 80 years ago.
Absolutely. I've seen photographs. There's not a tree on it.
Yeah.
It was 1908.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but there's not a tree on it.
Interesting fact. Side note.
If you go up there now, see the Douglas fir, you can tell it's 70, 80-year-old Douglas fir.
Mm.
Go down on the lower slopes anyway, higher up, I don't know. But where the Billy Goat Bluff Trail is, that's all through that burnt.
Mm-hmm.
That burnt. What did you say, Anna? Early 1900s?
1908.
Yeah. But there's pictures from the old crusher, because the guy that built the crusher was a photographer. And he had a ton of photographs of Goat Mountain, and it's all nothing up there.
Yeah, like it's just an easy hill to walk up. Yeah.
So trees do grow back, even when you mistreat them.
In follow-up, Lon, to your question about the lady slipper flowers, just other values, other things of interest, presumably you have to follow and conduct archaeology surveys and any of those. Have all of that been conducted? Do you have to do that, Angela?
Yeah, so part of legislation and how forest professionals are legislated, a part of that is site plan ecosystem data, which is collecting what plants are there and what the soil's like, and including how to know how to replant, even though with these ones there's enough stocking so we don't have to replant them. But yeah.
Sorry, my question extended beyond just plants to other values like cultural values, for instance, archaeological values, and just wondering if that's been considered in the planning.
Yeah, so that's legislated within forest management in FERPA to consider all that. We work closely with Yakunuki to adjust our cutting specs and retaining some culturally significant fire scarred snags as well.
Any other questions from our group online or otherwise?
What about cleanup after logging? What's the plan there?
So a part of the Wildfire Risk Reduction Project is incorporating post-harvest cleanup. And so that looks like essentially pile and burning any extra debris that may be on site, either mechanically, depending on the slopes, or by hand. And essentially burning down any type of ladder fuels that could bring a surface fire into the canopy.
So burn/piles next winter?
Yeah. Potentially, we have to do waste surveys before we can do any of that, and that's all a timing thing as well. But hopefully.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
Just a statement, where I lived previous to Creston here was in Kimberley. And the community forest and the Kimberley mountain biking club worked quite closely with each other to ensure that some of the access roads that were built, skid trails or whatnot, were complementary to what was going to be left for the recreationalists afterwards. Now we've got a great opportunity here with the Creston Community Forest, and which is taking on both the fuel mitigation, logging, and recreational activities on the mountain. So great to hear that, and very excited that you're doing this project. And sounds like you are very much taking into consideration how one can benefit the other. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the goal. And if anyone wants to start up a mountain biking society to help us manage that moving forward, we'd be happy to have a society like that in Creston.
Jerry, do you know if has there been any of
The cycling
community?
there is a cycling club in Creston. They were mostly road bikes. They have incorporated mountain bike. I've talked to Vance, what's Vance? Justin. And he actually, I think he sent a letter to us supporting the bike project that the community force wants to do. And they said, I wouldn't say commitment's the right word, but they know there's going to be a need for ongoing maintenance, and they will help out as volunteers. So I think the avenue is the local bike club to work with the community forest, because the community forest can do some staffing to do the maintenance, but a bunch of volunteers would be very helpful. And a lot of people like to do that. In this community, I mean, anytime I've asked for trail volunteers, I usually get more than I can handle. So, I think there is an opportunity. And the cycling club, I think, is the way to go.
There is also a Mountain Bike Riders Association. I don't know if they're an actual club in Creston.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they're an actual club, but
Okay,
they have a Facebook page if that makes you legitimate
Okay.
these days.
Wasn't aware of that. I just know Justin said that in fact, they're building a track out at Window, right? The cycling club is.
Right.
Or Justin is.
Justin is, yeah.
So I think they're both, I think.
Okay, so I think with that, I'll move to, or ask, not move, but ask if anyone would be interested in making a resolution on this particular issue.
A motion to support or not?
Yeah.
I will motion to support.
Second? Jerry, second. In favor? All around and both online.
Okay, support.
Great, appreciate the conversations. Thank you, Ashley, for your time. You're welcome to stay enjoy the rest of our meeting, or you can sign off and have your evening back. I choose the former, but that's why I'm the chair. So the rest is up to you. Thanks.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Have a good
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks for the discussion.
Thanks, Angela.
She signed off.
Yeah.
Arguably.
I know, I tried. Yeah, all right, next item on our agenda is a development variance permit application. So again, the materials for this were included in our agenda package tonight, and I believe we have a special guest to present and take us through the plan, so please.
Yeah.
A little introduction and
McBlain, here, live on Windsor, have a piece of property in Canyon. I can sit here, sure. The piece of property in Canyon, on 40th Street, that's agriculturally zoned. And 2019, we built a shop on it with plans to build another. So in 2019, we took a building permit for the shop. Installed driveway, line power. Which is about 140 meters from the street. There was no bylaw of this nature in place in 2019, so we could build wherever we wanted on the space. This previous year, they brought the bylaw to try and preserve agricultural land to encourage some houses within 60 meters of the frontage. So this building's already in place. It's more than 60 meters along the building. Shop to request a variance to allow us to do that within 60 meters. So, based on my understanding of the bylaw is to preserve agricultural land, if we were to build it within 60 meters of that, acquiring agricultural land and consolidating it's already. Yeah. By putting this dwelling in the building or this agricultural.
So it's built under permit?
Yeah.
Shop was?
Yeah, the shop's not built under permit, it's all. Finalized and inspected.
will your plans extend outside the existing footprint at all? Like,
The yard's already there and septic. There's a map here.
Mhm.
It's all finished. Stands in residential.
Do they still have a shop?
Yeah, the dwelling is only gonna be, it's a 36 by, because they don't build in the dwelling, it's only 24 by 36.
Within the same building?
Yeah.
This is what it looks like. I'm on the Ag Advisory Council.
Nice.
And normally we do a site visit and come and have a look at something, and we haven't had a meeting to get to it. So what I did a drive-by, I knew about where it was, just to have a look, see. So I took the pictures, it gives you an idea of where in proximity to the fence, where it actually does look like. See, and,
So when was the shop built? 2019. And there's no setback requirements for that? That's right. Yeah, this bylaw wasn't in place then.
And so at the time it was still a non-farm building? Or
No, it was a
a farm?
shop, so it probably would have classified it as.
Right.
and there's a hay shed way at the far end of the
Yeah.
property as well.
So just make the building into a legal suite or
That's right.
to point it into a, yeah.
And it already has, like, I saw in the application, it's got water, it's got a septic.
Yeah.
Already, it's got power already, there was a road to it, so there's no other, no airstrip being planned or.
So if it weren't for the bylaw of the 60-meter bylaw, might have been stamped and under construction.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah,
You got a question? Yeah, just that, I'll give Jody kudos. I used to work in the office with the, old building inspector. And, anyway, it was a really good maneuver to first build a shop on the property and then convert it. Because if you build a house, the permit fees are a lot higher on building a house than it is to build a shop and convert it. So all the building inspectors in the RDCK are well aware of that. So they build their shop and then convert it to a house. Well done, Jody. That's all.
Not in this case, because this permit application cost me $500, so.
For the, yeah, well,
Yeah,
your home fees would be.
no, I didn't know. You work with Daryl?
Yes.
Okay.
Only question I've got, is it occupied by anybody now?
Yeah, we actually lived in it for a year when we built our house. in
Oh,
Osprey.
I see.
Just roughly.
So if it's already, how do I put it? If it's already usable for dwelling already, how is it technically okay already? And why do you have, or what's gonna be different?
Well, we're halfway finished the construction. So to get like final occupancy permit, there's a few things that have to be complete yet. And it's building permits, like radon, gas, mitigation.
It's all internal though to the building.
I just call it the building department in the permit. Take care of all, make sure to go with all those requirements. Jody's here largely for the setback requirement.
Yeah.
The variance.
Yeah.
That's special.
because it's technically not within the new bylaw, but had it been pre-bylaw, you'd have been away,
Yeah, this was a surprise to me.
Yeah,
So I broke it.
yeah.
Yeah, and the variance is intended to cover, trying to make it the exception rather than the norm to produce farmland near the front of the property, right? Whereas this is a situation where that farmland's already not there.
Yeah,
What's the square footage of the existing shop?
2160, I think, 36 by 60.
Okay, so it's a good sized shop and it's gonna be turned into a dwelling with the same square footage then?
No, the dwelling is 24 by 36.
You lost me. What's the difference in the square footage going from the shop to the dwelling?
The shop is 36 by 60. The dwelling is going to be 36 by 24.
So it's smaller.
Okay, so the dwelling is gonna be like beside the shop then?
inside,
It's within the existing building. It's
Okay, so you're not making it any bigger, you're just taking a piece of it.
that's right.
Yeah. And you plan on living there for quite a while?
No, we don't plan on living there at all. We don't live there right now. It will be renting us.
Any plans on reselling down the road?
Don't
Yeah, I really don't know if I'm gonna be alive tomorrow, so I don't want to make too many future plans.
I just wondered if it was an investment thing, but it sounds like it's rental property.
It was our former home. It was a portion of our former home farmland.
I think that's outside the scope of the discussion.
Yeah. Any other questions? Agricultural.
If they be it that we haven't dealt with it yet, or I don't know if we'll get to or not. Not sure what I do or what is a pro as opposed to a con is that it is close to the outside fence. Like the reason that bylaw is there is because there's been so many properties where they come and they plunk a house out in the middle of a property like this, and then you got all your driveway and so on, and you end up losing so much land to all that infrastructure. And the idea being, keep it up there, you know, and so on, so that at least the rest of the property is usable. That's the goal of this. And yes, we are running into it now where we have ones where, like this, it comes up. And yet where there's existing structure or services already in place, it's like, well, yeah, you don't want to take more out by starting another dwelling closer to the road, just to meet the bylaw, right? And this is sort of already set. So that's in its favor for sure. I don't think I've got any other issues with it. Say, that's why I went to have a look. You know, you look at all the papers, it's like this, like that. When you go and actually have a look at it, that's a whole different, you know, valuable viewpoint, I think, anyway. So.
It almost seems like there's, to me, not really even a choice.
Mhm.
It's authorized to build a dwelling on a piece of farmland. Now the rule will come in after the dwelling was built, so I think we have the choice here of moving the dwelling, moving the shop, or saying,
Yeah.
okay. And it is, I think, from what, I mean, I know where it's at, it is in a, as far as farmland goes, it's in a pretty decent spot. It's where it happened to be built anyway, so.
We see some that are not as easily variable.
Distinguishable,
Yeah.
Any other questions? Any online, John, Brock, anything further?
What's the downside of not approving this thing? It looks like should be pretty straightforward. What's the downside?
The only reason I can think of to not approve this is because we feel like being jerks.
Just a reminder to the commissioners that we do not approve anything.
Power move.
We don't, that's not what this.
That's right,
That's
yeah.
not what this group does. We provide recommendations.
No, we don't. We see
Uh,
that.
I don't know that there is a downside here, to be quite honest, Brock.
Yeah,
I
thanks.
mean, this exists, right? And we're not talking about any additional development. So I think if we allow people to have dwellings on private property, if that concept in general exists, we have here an opportunity to allow that to continue unimpeded. Would be my thoughts.
I would suppose if anything, there'd be I don't know, would it be you call it caveat or condition that there's no future expansion out from that, you know, out into the field or whatever that does take away from usable land. But if you're only gonna use part of this building as residence, well, then that shouldn't be an issue, but that'd be the only issue I would.
That would be the
I
300 meters thing, I think, wouldn't it?
That's not for us to discuss.
Yeah.
It's,
It's a,
That's, that'd be another permit that would go.
It would come
to
through, yeah.
RDC and.
But if it's listed or there, you know, then at least that's on the list of things. Otherwise, people then will build on because nobody said ahead they couldn't, and then it becomes an issue.
But he'd have to go through the building permit process to be able to build on. And this bylaw contains a couple of provisions. One is the 60 meters from and the other is the size of the overall development footprint. And we're already probably pushing into that overall development footprint. So as like, and to Lon's point, it's a future application.
Can you get guys to do stuff first and then ask for permit later? I mean, so that,
It happens lots.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make it legal.
yeah, and it tends to not get or reversed either. That's only my thing would be, say, if there's a way of putting in as far as you go.
It's a covenant, right?
Covenant, that's the word, I guess, yeah.
We do, it's in the bylaw, and restricts the square footage. And so it's already in place.
So Randy, the Creston Valley Agricultural Commission haven't been asked by planning to review this.
We've got the application, yes, like we just got it like the last week or so, and then we just haven't been able to schedule a meeting yet. We're still trying to work on having a meeting that we've been trying to have. And this wasn't even up on the list of things to have on it yet, which now I guess we will, but we weren't there yet. And I guess it was till, got to what, 15th of March or something? I believe is what their timeline was. So we've got time, I guess. But, usually it's the other way around, that we've looked at them already before it gets to this one. And this, just the way it's turned out, we actually haven't looked at it yet. So. That's all I got.
Anyone interested in making a motion? Whether or not to support or not this application?
Try to make another issue? Because I will. With our AEC group, also, we prefer to not do a vote with the applicant present.
Yeah, I understand that. The operating bylaws that we work under for this commission, and I don't know the other commission what's structured. This is the situation that we have. Again, we're not making any decisions here. So I think we'll continue to operate under those operating parameters.
Because it's just showing support or not support, and that goes to that comment goes to the board.
Yeah. There's a whole process that
And
happens after.
and the whole meeting is open to that.
Yeah. There's a whole process that happens after this, so.
I don't agree, but okay.
So did we have a motion made?
Nobody's made a motion.
I'll move that we support the application.
Correct. And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, sorry, I can't see. I didn't look online if either, but we do have a motion and a second. So I'll call for a vote at this time. To support the applicant. Or application rather.
Favor?
In favor, yeah. So looks unanimous. Great, thank you. Thank you for the presentation and discussion. I hope it was everything you were looking for. We'll move on our agenda. We've got a time open for questions from the public. You're the public right now. You speak on behalf of all public. We do have a DR still online. I'm not sure, DR, if you come off mute, if you'd like to, and ask any questions, we'd certainly entertain questions.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
All right, seeing as our member of the public walked out,
What's new?
we'll call the public time addressed. Our next meeting is scheduled for March 26th, 2024 at 7 p.m. So that's our 7 p.m., which will at that point, I think, be your 7 p.m. too.
Yours will be ours.
Yeah.
I think that will make
Yeah.
that much.
Oh, right, yeah.
So March 26th at 7 p.m.
Do we know if that is gonna happen?
We won't know probably till 2 weeks out-ish. That's usually about when we have applications have kind of settled. We have asked that the bylaw officer or a representative to speak on in terms of compliance enforcement bylaw within the context of the applications that we review would come and make a presentation to us, to our group.
And it sounds like that's going to be something, because he's gonna do it for all of the APHCs, and because we have 8 of them. Nelson was thinking that he'll just do one online and then all of the APHCs, because it's so much staff time. And he's already so busy that I think it'll just be one, it'll be open to everyone, all the APHCs. So,
Should be what's our.
So is
yeah,
is
and
that
I
gonna be?
think I don't know if it will be like a recorded thing or if it will be like a set time. It will probably be a set time so that it's open for questions, I would think, where he's online. Cause originally he said he'd come, when I was talking to him, he said he'd come to the meeting.
Yeah.
But then I think there had been a previous discussion about him talking to the other APHC, so, yeah, I think it sort of has to be a WebEx.
I mean, we could also, like, if he was able to come to ours, we could record it. And then that recording could be made available to all. Other
Yeah,
APHCs.
I'll talk to him and then talk to, I mean, it's basically the general manager who will direct him on what the best process for this would be, just considering all the APHCs, but yeah, I'll let him know, I'll let Sangeeta and Nelson know.
All right, so to answer your question, an agenda is in development. What it will look like is yet to be determined, but we're working on something.
Just one more small comment, when you send out the emails in advance asking who's gonna attend or not, I
Yeah,
noticed a couple times, it's you sending the email, right?
yeah,
Yeah, that you use the word confirm, we've confirmed quorum, but we don't actually confirm quorum until we're here.
Here.
So,
but I have to confirm that we can make a quorum.
Yeah.
I need to know that if
Yeah.
I'm driving 2 hours, that.
I understand that.
Put it online for the public.
Yeah, I think it's valuable, but
Yeah.
you're not confirming quorum when you do that. You're confirming that quorum is not going to
Okay.
not be able to
perfect.
be met, right?
Yeah, I'm confirming that we are on our way to a quorum.
Yes, a quorum could be possible. Yeah.
Solidified, but yeah. It's just, I want you to know that I need to know because like this week I knew on Saturday that we had 6 people. So like on the weekend, I'm checking my email, like, okay, there's this meeting, should I cancel it? And there's so many steps involved, like putting it on the web and doing the agenda, and we have to have it on the web 48 hours before. So just, it's good to know beforehand because, you know, there's
Yeah, no, I think what you're doing.
RDC,
great.
and I
I
think
agree, yeah.
this time just
It could be.
worked better than the first time too, and it will just get easier as it becomes a routine and we know that it's 1 day a month, but yeah.
But it could also happen.
All these pieces to, yeah, and like the last one, the application got canceled.
Yeah.
At the
day-
last
The day before. the-
So then, yeah,
Yeah.
so then in that case, it's like, do I go out there for a meeting? Is there anything else to talk about? You know,
So that was
there's
why
lots of-
and that meeting was canceled and then uncanceled.
yeah,
But it also could be that we have 10 people say, yes, I'll be there. And then the day out, people are sick or they get in the car
Yeah,
accident
exactly.
and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's
We, or we win the lottery.
We have to bail.
bail day, yeah.
It happens.
yeah.
Lon, did you have a question?
Yeah, dude, we're talking about being educated bylaw presentation. I'd like to also be educated on the mapping program. I tried to, the RDCK has a public mapping program, which when I worked for the RDCK, I could get into lots and lots of good stuff. And even when I was no longer, anyway, I couldn't duplicate the maps. They weren't the same maps that part of the application. Is there a reason for that?
For
I'm gonna say the aerial photo.
the Goat Mountain one.
No, for the Jody's variance application. So the RDCK map didn't have the 2019.
Yeah, well, and I know the external version is different. It has less features than the internal version. So when we're making these maps, it would be the internal version that we're using. But yeah, the public, there's not as many layers and maybe not.
Are you saying the satellite imagery is old?
Yeah, well, it didn't have it didn't have 2019 development on it.
It's a bit weird, but.
Yeah, cause that's barely a layer, right? That's just the background image.
Yeah, yeah, and the most recent layer should show up.
The reason I bring that up is because it's a very, very good mapping system. I know if you try to get on Cranbrook's, they show you, there's very little information that's useful to the public when you went on the RDEK's site. So our mapping were way better when I certainly worked there, and I believe they still are. So the public benefit of that or this commission. I think
maybe
I should ask GIS and see, because I wonder if there's some way that as commissioners, you could have access to the internal version. I mean, the only problem is the owners.
Yeah, we want to leave.
Some version, I'll ask the GIS. Sure.
So yeah, I think there's lots of options here. I mean, there's the IMAP, the provincial IMAP system, which contains a lot of this information as well. that's relatively usable system. So there's all kinds of ways that we can look this. I just think like the maps that we get in these packages are incredibly important. And when they have legends that are incomplete, there's data on it that's wrong or confusing, place names that don't make sense. The Windle was called Woodbury.
Yeah.
Well, and that's just, whatever you see here is what you're seeing. Like this is the KML file.
Yeah.
Which is inputted. Everything else is just, we do not, it's only GIS that can, this is just what we're.
Right, but you need to take this back to GIS staff because it's wrong. There's lots of errors. They're gonna be able to take the red blob shape file or KML or layer file or whatever name you wanna give it. And they can call it what it actually is, instead of saying style color 0, which bothers me.
False color 0.
False color 0. Right, like those kinds of details in this application, they should be tight. Because our.
Style 10 is obviously a road.
Right, is it obviously a road? Because our discussions are really important, right? I think these discussions are public record, they're really important, and we're talking about the materials that are in these, and when that detail isn't correct.
Yeah, in this case, I could.
It doesn't
see
show
that
us.
Having whatever map, I mean, I don't know what map you
It's
had.
the cutting permit map.
Yeah. And
Which
I-
sounded like it was
But
included
that-
in her
That would
application.
be, and I guess,
Yeah.
would you see that, sure?
Well, I'll say getting a handout package like this was helpful.
This is helpful, absolutely, but again, the accuracy is very important.
Well, and we just received notification from, like, these Crown referrals come from like their system, the Crown system, then does notification.
Tell them to fix the system.
Yeah.
It's broken.
Logging starts tomorrow,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Yeah,
we're a little late to the table.
We are.
No, I say this is good, like if logging is starting tomorrow, they knew this well ahead, I would assume. Why didn't, this should have been on last month or something at the very.
Yeah, I don't know when we got the letter, but the letter says the deadline was the 25th, which was last week.
Yeah.
So they actually gave us a few extra days, but I don't know when they actually. had the
Do you
map
know
ready.
that, Laura?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
think
The
can
referrals,
find out here.
Well, what's the date of their letter?
I don't know when the referral would have come in.
What's the date?
They normally give 30 days for referrals,
Because
like
I
if
only-
you found referral, we have 30 days to comment.
the date of the letter is January 26th.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the impact,
Not a lot of.
Yeah.
it might be more being polite, really. I mean, if we don't wanna gloss things over. There's a process in place, I would imagine, to get to the point that you've got a cut block laid out, authorized for harvest, RDCK, and this happens to be close to town, and I think it's probably just I mean, it's happening, right? It's
Yeah,
happened already. So,
But make RDCK staff make the materials correct. That needs to go back to the
Yeah,
GIS.
I'll-
Those maps have to be correct.
Well, or in this case, something like, the staff could maybe find the map that maybe wasn't sent to us. or maybe we
This
can
is not a
find it.
contentious
better.
issue. If we were dealing with a contentious issue, I could easily see a group getting a hold of these and saying, how could you even have a discussion about style 10, color type 0, false color 0? So it has to be accurate. That comment needs to go back to our
Yeah,
staff.
I will
I'll
let.
make sure to tell Nelson.
Because in theory, there should be no way that they're starting tomorrow because what we've just done hasn't gone through the channels yet to say it's okay.
I guess all I'm touching on is the impact that we would have is probably inconsequential
Yeah,
in comparison to the process that's actually already legislated in our province to harvest timber.
Absolutely, but if this was a contentious
I agree,
issue,
Wade, I do,
Yeah.
yeah, I get your point.
yeah,
and I think that's part of what we all want to see come out of our interaction with our local government right now, is that we're holding staff to a standard that
yeah,
exhibits competence, right, and confidence,
Yeah.
inspires confidence, and they're.
map scale of 1 to 72.
The flip side to that is if we aren't doing the way you say we are, then all this is totally irrelevant. Why are we spending our time doing it?
Why is
I
this
think
totally
that
irrelevant?
particular issue would
If,
just be
if
polite.
what we're doing, if they're able to do what, to start cutting tomorrow, like say, if this was contentious, which, okay, this time it wasn't, but if it was, and what we just did tonight, and they start cutting tomorrow, if what we say or what we do, and it hasn't gone through the channels, well, then we're totally irrelevant. So then what's the point of doing this?
This is a very interesting thought. I'd like to put a pin in for 1 second because we have one more item, which is to move to adjourn this meeting, which I think we should do. And then I think we should pick this conversation up for our second part of the meeting. Any objections to that?
Good idea.
Anyone willing to adjourn the meeting? Moved. Second, favor, we're good.
Okay.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
End of public meeting.
And so that's the end of our public time, but